Something really big is happening on university campuses all across India. A massive transformation is just around the corner. The University Grants Commission, the UGC, has just released a brand new blueprint for equity. And in this explainer, we are going to unpack exactly what it means for every single student and staff member out there. But before we get into all the rules and regulations, let's just take a step back for a second. What does a truly equal and inclusive campus actually look and feel like? I mean, it's a place where your background doesn't dictate your future, right? Where everyone, and I mean everyone, has a real shot at thriving and feels safe enough to do it. That's the ideal, and it's the real driving force behind everything we're about to talk about. And look, this idea didn't just appear out of thin air. The main guiding principle for these new regulations comes straight from India's National Education Policy of 2020. That policy calls for full equity and inclusion to be the cornerstone of all educational decisions. So this quote right here, it sets the stage for a huge nationwide push to make that vision a reality.
Okay, so to put a big principle like that into action, you have to get specific about the problem you're trying to solve. What exactly are these regulations trying to fix? Well, it's all about tackling discrimination head on.
And the regulations get very, very specific here. They define discrimination as any kind of unfair or biased treatment against anyone on campus. We're talking students, teachers, staff, based on things like their religion, race, caste, or gender. And this isn't just about the obvious in-your-face prejudice. It's also about the subtle, quiet biases that can totally disrupt someone's education. So what's the answer to that problem? It's a concept the regulations call equity. And this is absolutely crucial. Equity is not about treating everyone the exact same. It's about creating a level playing field. It's about making sure that every single person has the support they need to get the same opportunities. It's a much more proactive way of thinking about fairness. Okay, so with that foundation of why this is happening, let's get into the what. What are the actual rules that are supposed to bring this whole vision of equity to life? These are the formal regulations that are going to mandate change across the entire country. So here they are. The UGC's 2026 Equity Regulations. And the most critical thing you need to understand is just how wide their reach is. Starting January 13th, 2026, these rules apply to all higher education institutions in India. Not just a few, not just the public ones. We're talking every single college and university in the nation. No exceptions. But a rulebook is one thing. Actually making it happen is something else entirely. So how are universities and colleges supposed to do this? Well, the regulations go way beyond just setting goals. They actually mandate the creation of a brand new support infrastructure on every single campus. Right at the heart of this new system is something called the Equal Opportunity Center, or the EOC. Every single institution is now required to set one up. You can think of it as the new nerve center for equity on campus. It'll oversee policies, provide support, and actively work to create a more diverse and inclusive environment. Now, this EOC is going to be managed by an equity committee. And if you look at who's on it, you can see this is key. It is not just some top-down administrative group. The regulations require them to include staff, members from civil society, and this is huge, student representatives. The whole design is meant to make sure decisions aren't made in some isolated bubble, but with real input from the entire campus community. And the support doesn't stop at a central office. The regulations create two new roles to provide support right there on the ground. First, you have equity squads, which will be these mobile units proactively keeping an eye on things around campus to prevent discrimination. Then, alongside them, you'll have equity ambassadors in every department, hostel, and library, acting as the eyes and ears and really the torchbearers for a culture of equity. Okay, but what if someone is in distress and they need help right now? Well, the regulations have an answer for that too. Every institution must create an equity helpline. And get this, it has to be up and running around the clock, 24/7. So help is never more than a phone call away. So this infrastructure sounds really promising, but how does it actually work? Like, if someone experiences discrimination, what's their next step? The regulations lay out a very clear, very structured process for filing a complaint and hopefully getting justice. The new system is really built around speed and clear action, as you can see from this process. A person can report something confidentially in a few different ways, and from that moment, the clock starts ticking. The Equity Committee has to meet within 24 hours. They have to submit a report within 15 working days, and the institution has to take action within 7 working days. These are strict, non-negotiable timelines designed to prevent things from getting buried or delayed.
That's a really fair question. What if you go through that whole process and you just don't agree with the committee's decision? Well, it doesn't end there. The regulations have a crucial appeal mechanism built right in. So if you're not satisfied with the Equity Committee's report, you have the right to appeal. You've got 30 days to take your case to the campus ombudsperson, who is an impartial official whose entire job is to investigate complaints and make sure a fair process was followed. It's a critical safety net. All right, let's get to the question that's probably on a lot of people's minds. Do these regulations actually have any teeth? I mean, what happens if a university just decides to ignore them? Oh, the consequences are severe. This is no slap on the wrist. The UGC can take one or even more of these actions against an institution that doesn't comply. They could be cut off from UGC funding, they could be barred from offering degrees, or they could even be removed from the UGC's official list of approved institutions, which would basically be a death sentence for any university. So yeah, compliance is not optional.
So that leaves us with this one big thought. The UGC has laid out this incredibly detailed blueprint. It's got a new infrastructure, clear processes, and very serious consequences. The framework is definitely there, but the huge question that remains is all about implementation and actually changing the culture. Will this new blueprint be the thing that finally helps Indian campuses achieve full equity and inclusion for all? I guess only time will tell.